Hi, I know it's a lot of videos recently, but it's been a lot of new information and a lot of things going on. So, future me, remember this one because this is a big. Um, when I talked to my sister last night, and she was just sharing with me something about the kids, and she just like mine raised her kids in Japan and still there. And let me just get comfy here, okay? And so she was telling me about how that just reminded me of something that has happened to me too. And I can see how I'm not a linguist, I'm an educator, but I can see how, sorry, it was windy outside. um I can see how language is very, very important. For example, I see a lot of kids in the classrooms I go to where they'll receive information as education. They're going to receive information about math or social science or science or English or anything in English. But when they go home, they would speak Farsi or Persian or Spanish mostly, or even French. They're kids from all over here. And that just is like a pure case of what my kids have been going through. Um, they have learned English first at home because that's the language that both parents spoke as a common language. One parent knows Bulgarian, the other one knows Japanese. So the common language was English from start. And um, it doesn't matter how much of Japanese I could understand or have learned or kept learning in the environment I was living in, and how much of Bulgarian words I would sometimes implement into our daily speech, like commands like stop or like be quiet, like those they know in Bulgarian. But the common language was English, right? And so they speak English, they learn all the words in English, and then my oldest goes to daycare at the age of 2. Um, and everything that he hears is in a language he heard maybe sometimes the grandparents talking to to his dad, like, but like it's not like language that refers to him or being spoken to him constantly. Like he knew maybe some words because in the beginning I was really open to immerse him into both languages. But he struggled, he really struggled, and he was angry. Like the teacher said, he would be really angry, frustrated because they would talk to him and he would not understand. And so that probably pushed the teachers to learn some more English, but also it opened a new box or a new skill in his brain. And so he started learning a second language. And then he continued, his brothers joined. And so when they started going to first grade, that's when you learn all the kanji and you learn how to read, write, manipulate with math problems that have text in English, in Japanese. And so everything started being in Japanese, right? And so what was spoken at home was pretty much by their mom only. So here comes the tricky part. The only times they would hear English would be at home with mom. And sometimes mom is like stressed or frustrated and she'll be like speaking in English. I don't know how to say, I could use educational English. I could use like angry words in English. I could use but then Japanese was the everyday language. I don't know how to explain, but it makes complete sense in my head. So Japanese would be the educational, the everyday, the talking to friends, the fun part, and then the English comes in a row of being disciplined, being taught, being educated, and the gospel. We spoke about the gospel of Jesus Christ and the commandments, the scriptures in English. And so they could read the hymn book because it was in hiragana, but they couldn't really understand much of the vocabulary in being taught in primary in Japan because we were teaching them at home in English. And so here's the tricky part. If you're a kid and you're every day, like you're immersed in, if you're immersed in a country, in a language, like at school with friends and teachers and others, go, I'll come when you're done. You have to go poop. Yeah, that happens all the time. You do something, you're even eating your meal any time of day, and then they have to go poop. So, but that's the story of my life. It's been 3 boys ago, same thing. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is the tricky part is how I'm afraid. I don't really know how my kids saw English being and living in Japan. Was that the language where they have to be disciplined? They have to receive instructions of how to do things at home, which they did not enjoy? Was it when they were being taught on Sunday or family home evening and like spiritual message? Or so that language, did they have it in their brain as the language of, oh, I'm gonna be told what to do and I don't enjoy it, or oh, I'm gonna be told. So that language, it's not the language that they enjoy. That's the language that they must speak because of the one of the parents speaks it in the end, and it doesn't know the normal everyday academic and everyday friends language. And so that's a scary part too. It's like, how can you embrace the gospel of Jesus Christ in its fullness if that's the language that you receive it in, but that's also the language that you being a kid, and your parent tells you what to do at home and like help with chores, or I don't know. It's scary. It's really scary. So in the same way, I wonder, parents here who are, say, Hispanic people, like who speak Spanish from Central or South America, they come here, their kids receive their education in English. That becomes their primary language because they're being educated in English, and they're socializing in English with their friends and teachers, and they go home, they speak Spanish, and that becomes eventually, slowly becomes their secondary English language, even if they were taught primarily in their childhood, when they were toddlers, because and that's the language, if that's the language that they use the gospel. So to me, my fear, I guess, is like, did my kids did not enjoy anything churchy, or like being followers of the Savior, like understand the meaning of service and give your time and talents for other people, and to be a helping hand, because it was taught to them in a language where mom will tell me this, mom will tell me that, like, I love mom, but like I don't like all the things that she tells me, and sometimes I have enough, I don't hear it, I don't want to clean the house on Saturday mornings and things like that. And now that my kids are in an English speaking country and they receive their education in English every day, and then they come home and speak English to me too, that becomes like the language, the primary language, both academically and at home and at church. And so they learn about terminology, like they use words that I'm like, wow, you can express yourself like that. Like, yeah, they learn like They know what's a graphic organizer. They know they know a lot of words that like I'm learning too as an educator, like in the sphere of school terminology. And so, but then they also go to young men activities, like primary activities, my third boy. And so they learn the vocabulary of, so the gospel language and the everyday language and academic language matches. And so now I can see how, my oldest will say, well, I would pray for this friend because, or like when I go to a temple, they understand that service. That's a way mommy can help somebody on the other side of the veil after death, and also brings family to his family. It brings blessings to our family. And so they understand that now. So to me, that is like an eye-opener. Like, if I'm to ever do a research on that, I would use literally my kids and like others probably here, and I would like publish it, or like find findings. That's amazing to me. Language, which one you use first, what language you use for what, is very important. And so like when I sit down on the floor or just lie down on the floor and talk to my sister and the phone is just next to me and I'm just myself, because we talk in our mother tongue. We speak in English, in Bulgarian, and I could say anything. I could express myself explicitly, and sometimes I catch myself using English words because I like the proper word in Bulgarian, because it's just her and I talking, and I have like a few friends who can speak Bulgarian, and a Bulgarian friend here, but it's not like every day. It's like I'm writing all my papers, I'm reading all my books, everything is in English. And so since 2003, really, so it's been like 21 years now. And so I know language matters. And so what my sister was maybe concerned with was the same. She expressed the same concern with me last night. She's like, I noticed like this is the language that is at home with me, and this is what they speak outside with their friends, and your brain switches really. Like, I remember my kids coming back from school and they'll be like saying sayonara to their friends, like bye, and then they come home and they switch right away in English. And in English, and it's like, I was like, how's your day? I did this and that and blah blah blah. And then I would hear those Japanese moms who brought their kids for English private lessons at home. They would hear my kids saying sayonara to their friends on the street, coming in and started in English, and they'll be like, whoa, sugoi desu ne, that's amazing. And so for them it was really amazing how my kids can just switch really quick, because for them it was natural. For their kids to learn second language in the age they're like elementary school, they have to stop, think, internalize information, translate in their head in English, and then speak it. So it takes time. For my boys was like this, natural. But to be honest, right now I'm really, really grateful that my kids are receiving information in English academically, at home, and spiritually. To me, that's important, because I can see the difference. I can definitely see the difference now. And yes, of course, they're also maturing and they're becoming older, and they can analyze information in their heads more. They ask more questions. They put hands on things, like they draw conclusions by themselves without me saying much. And so they would have initiative, like they would put themselves to do something. The cleaning part is still a big problem. I think that's something that all boys probably have problem with. I don't know. At least those three I'm raising are not really fond of cleaning the house or helping me clean the house, unless they're specific, like you do this, you do this, you do this. And that's what I also learned as a teacher. You have to use explicit instructions. You have to explain explicitly what is to be done step by step. So break it down to the kids. And I think once it becomes a good habit, then, and that's what parents are for. I'm coming, baby. Hold on. That parents are too. establish good, healthy habits, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. And so if we can do that with my kids finally in a language where we understand each other, not just mom is this figure in the house that is the only one who is an exception and I have to talk to her in English, but everything else in my life is in Japanese. Now it's like everything in my life is in English, and then my mom is part of that English world, and then when I go to church it's all in English as well. And so yeah, that was my insight for today. It took me 15 minutes to get it out, but yeah. Okay, bye, gotta go.